Hi, everyone. It's Katya. And I want to share today about the Enneagram and how it relates with some of our challenges that we talk about um, with food. So many of you know that I've done Curb the Binge and Curb the Binge, the podcast, for a while now. And I myself am a recovering food addict. And food addiction is an area of great interest for me. And the Enneagram is also an area of great interest for me. And the Enneagram is a way of understanding many, many things, our universe in general, and how things work. And one of the things that it applies to is personality types. And this is one of the kind of most fun ways to get into the Enneagram when we're first learning about it, because it's always fun to learn about ourselves and why we are the way we are and why we behave the way we behave. Um, so I wanted to talk about how Enneagram typing can kind of correlate with and get and relate to addiction a little bit. And I wanted to talk specifically today about the Enneagram Type 8. Now, many food addicts might actually be an Enneagram Type 8, and I'm sure it's not all, but I wanted to talk about the Enneagram Type 8 because I think it's a really kind of fun and interesting one to explore, and the kind of recommendations for that type can be really illuminating when we're trying to recover from the disease of food addiction. So the Enneagram Type 8 is sometimes called the asserter or the challenger. It's the type that I am, that I identify with, and that I present as most of the time. And it is a type that has a lot of energy. It's very protective, and it's very much a body-centered type. All the energy is it's kind of primal. It's a little animalistic. And eights are very in touch with their kind of animal side. Their kind of predominant emotion can be anger. So for an 8 on the Enneagram type, there are 9 types altogether. For an 8 on the Enneagram, oftentimes, whatever emotion one feels, whether it's hurt or sadness or loss or grief, it will often present as anger. It's really interesting. Underneath, there might be sadness, but on top, it quickly turns into anger, especially any kinds of vulnerability. So the 8 is classically described as being uncomfortable with their vulnerability until they do the inner work to really become a little bit more in touch with their softness, with their humanness, with their imperfection, and until they learn how to surrender a little bit more. Now, so for the 8, they have a lot of energy. They just have a lot of primal force. They are a force in general, and they might wake up in the morning and just have so much energy, and they need to be met with activities that allow them to get all that energy out. Otherwise, they can kind of get into trouble. They can they might be types that kind of aren't afraid of breaking a few rules. They might be types that can get into this this sort of place of lust, right? Some of the books talk about lust as something that the Enneagram Type 8 can get into. And when we talk about lust, we're really talking about this way of seeing the world that if something is good, if there's something good, then more of it is better. So that's where the food comes in. 8s in general love to eat. And if they're not met with enough challenging activity to really get them engaged. So, some examples might be going out in nature and doing a sport that really gets them very close to nature, like skiing or snowboarding or mountain biking or climbing or paragliding, some experience or activity that has that intensity to it. Eights are very intense and they like intensity. And some books say that, you know, what the eight wants most is just to experience the intensity of being alive. And they will find that no matter what. They will seek that out. So whether it's that experience of being out in nature or running a business, being a leader of some kind, some other really important project or opportunity can keep an eight engaged in a healthy way. Another thing that eights are kind of known for is they can really protect the underdog or those that find it hard to defend themselves. So eights can be seen as aggressive, but when that energy is channeled in a healthy way, you'll see that an eight can be very just protective in a really positive, almost, you know, kind of standing up for those in our world who are not yet standing on their own feet and standing up for themselves. So that's something that's really needed and really beautiful. They also have a lot of loyalty to those that are in their inner circle. And so if you're an eight and, you know, you found yourself ever eating for, you know, out of boredom or just to fill the time and just, why am I eating? One of the easiest, and sometimes, you know, we don't think of this, but one of the easiest ways to work with food addiction is to find those activities and those engagements in life that really inspire you, motivate you, and bring out that intensity and meet you in that intensity in a way that makes you feel good about who you are as a person, so that that the things that you do that give you an energy lift, that fulfill you, they actually keep you feeling good about yourself instead of making you feel bad about yourself on the other end. So that's a little bit about the Enneagram Type 8. And yeah, so fun. Great to see you, and see you next time.